I've wanted to record this video for a long time, and every time I think about doing it, I get like seriously way too anxious. Um, I had a super horrible birth experience my first time around, and like I feel like I researched and researched and knew that it didn't always go, you know, home birth excellence, and I had already had like a hip injury that I was pretty sure I was gonna just go for the epidural and hope for a safe delivery. And it was so much worse and so much scarier than I ever expected. And I don't want to scare anyone because this isn't the norm. But I also like, no one talks about how bad and awful and like how you can get PTSD from this, like how you can really, really need therapy. And, you know, after you deliver a baby, the baby gets so many appointments and so many checkups, and the mom gets one at 6 weeks. And it's really just to check your anatomy. I mean, my doctor is fantastic and definitely went above and beyond, especially knowing like my struggles, but that's not the norm. And I mean for Dougie, because my first time around it was not like that. Like she just checked anatomy and was like, hey, you're good to go. And like I was traumatized. Like I'll get right into it. Hazley was a big baby. She was 9 pounds, and I had a hip injury where my my right hip is basically permanent. I don't know, like dislocated, but it's like located. Like it's not like, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it's rotated anteriorly and then inferiorly. Either way, it's like two different ways out. So we kind of knew going in that I probably wouldn't be able to have a super easy birth. I would probably just want to go for an epidural because I was going to be in a lot of pain, just from already being in pain. I can say that pretty much as soon as my labor took over, I don't remember feeling my back pain. But I had already been in so much pain that I was like, yeah, just, you know, I was just already in like a mind funk of like, just, this is just going to be horrible. And I was induced at midnight and then told to sleep, but they check on you every 20 minutes to increase the meds. So didn't sleep, obviously. And I remember saying like the first time I can, just give me the epidural because I am really scared of what my back is going to do. And so they scheduled it for 11 in the morning, and they tried 3 times. The second time I got about 10 minutes of relief, and I remember I went from like 5 centimeters to like 9 centimeters in that 10 minutes because my body had the time to relax. Because I don't know if it's from being induced or what it was. My contractions were pretty much on top of each other. I was getting maybe 30 seconds relief. So they got to a point where they couldn't increase my contractions anymore. So they were like also really hoping that with the epidural I would relax, and and so that little tiny bit of relief until like who knows what happened. My body moved and it stopped working. They tried one more time. It still didn't work. But eventually I got to 10 centimeters and I was allowed to start pushing. I pushed for almost 2 hours, which pushing as hard as you possibly can, like, is like, when your brain, like, think about when you're blowing a balloon and you use all that and you get like lightheaded. Like, imagine 200 times more pressure for 2 hours. Like, you are so physically exhausted, sorry, that it's like, it's just scary. And then I remember I got to a point, I'm like shaking right now because I'm like, talking about this is I need more therapy for sure. Um, uh, um, I remember getting to a point where I was like, I think something's wrong, and like I had been doing fairly well. Like my mom and my aunt were in the room and we're kind of joking around, like you wouldn't even know you were in labor if you couldn't see the machine. And I had been pushing so well, and all of a sudden I was like, no, something changed, something's wrong, like something is different. And my nurse just knew it too. And within 30 seconds, she and some other people were wheeling me into the operating room, and my mom and Phil were getting like fully suited up, and I was like kind of worried I was going to be getting a C-section, but they couldn't get any meds to work for me. So they ended up bringing me to the operating room, and without any meds, they gave me a couple quick needles down there and then cut me twice, and I tore pretty good as well. And they used the vacuum, and they had a student use it, and I'll never forget this because the doctor was in the room and the student wasn't there yet, and I know he was thinking this is a great opportunity for the student, so let's wait for the student. And like my mom, my Phil and myself were like, let's do something. Like I thought I was dying. Like there's a baby like stuck in me, and he was basically like ignoring us. And then when the student got there, he had to explain to him it was like his first legit time doing it, and the student fell off Hazley's head twice. The amount of skin it took off of her head, like I wouldn't let anyone take pictures of it. It was so gross. I don't know if you can tell how bad I'm shaking right now. When they finally got her out, because of how traumatic the situation was, they wouldn't let us see her for a bit. They just took her away. And we just had to wait for a bit until she cried. And then Phil and my mom actually took a nice picture of us crying, which has always meant a lot to me. But, you know, it's like you go into labor and delivery and you're having a baby for the first time, and you hear about the bad stories, but you also like just assume that you're healthy and you're a young, active person your whole life, like it's going to be fine. And it was the most scary experience of my entire life, and it took like hours for them to stitch me up after. And I remember being wheeled back into my room, and because it was the first grandbaby and first baby on both sides, both families had like waited in my room, and I was like, I couldn't even hold Hazley. Like I was like so weak that I was like I had lost 1/3 of my blood. Like I thought I was dying. I thought I was dying. And I don't even remember really being worried about that because like I thought Hazley was dying. But then getting brought back into your room and having like really no one caring. It felt like everyone was just more excited that Hazley was there. And I get it. She's the first baby, but you can see in the background of people's pictures the nurse like at the side of my bed because I was still so sick. Like I was like passing in and out, and I was still projectile vomiting, and everyone was in the room holding Hazley, taking pictures of her. And that's just what I mean. Like baby's there, mom's care goes down. Never forget how much moms go through, and like the scary shit we do. If you've ever had a bad experience, you know, like it's almost like it's just a club you don't want to be a part of, and it's scary. And I'm so thankful for everyone that has a good experience. I just wanted to share mine.